Go to the botanical garden. It's been a hot second. The botanical garden is doing some sort of flower competition today. It seems a dozen locals grew their very own lily flowers and brought a pot of them in for judgment. Anyone visiting the gardens today can place a sticker on the pot of the flowers they like the most, and the winner will be rewarded with some gardening supplies. Obviously, I don't know the first thing about what makes a good flower, but I enjoy seeing lilies of all shapes, colors, and sizes in one place. I ultimately find myself drawn to a pot of gold lilies, clean and pretty, and healthy as can be. They look so opulent. I placed one of the provided stickers on their pot, taking a quick glance around to see that the competition is rather stiff. I'm sure all the flowers were grown with lots of care and love, so whoever wins will surely deserve it. I'm not gonna stick around to see who wins, but I'm wishing my little guys the best of luck. Aw, it's cute. That night, as I'm laying in bed watching TV, my phone buzzes in the windowsill, startling me. It's Aspen. Oh my god. She also has a night outfit. It's cute. Did she get good news? I think it's good news. She clears her throat and gulps down some water before she starts. I bolt upright in bed as if Aspen were here telling me in person. Well, not yet. Yeah. That's really exciting, actually. It's a good thing Juliet doesn't sleep during the night. I can hear her laugh through the phone and can keep a grin off my own and can't keep a grin off my own face. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's the trauma speaking, Aspen. That's the trauma speaking, girl. She laughs again. If you can even fall asleep if you're so excited. Aw. Aspen yawns, causing me to yawn too. Settling back down into bed, I can't keep a smile off my face even as my eyes get heavier. If anyone deserves some good news, it's Aspen. I'm so glad she can stop worrying so much. Ah, man. Being happy for someone else is... yeah, it's a good feeling to be on the receiving end of that. I'm feeling a little lethargic, so maybe I'll have a warm tea and a long, peaceful sit. I can always count on the Bell House for its cozy atmosphere after all. I buy my drink, find my favorite seat, and settle down. And then I watch a kid across the cafe knock his midnight double chocolate swirl down, drink on the ground, and immediately start crying. So much for the atmosphere. I think I'll sit outside today. Dude, I hate kids at... Anyways. The grand entrance of the Botanic Gardens is pretty impressive, decorated with flowers and trees and more. It's even closer to the wilds I remember when Mount Victoria's than Mount Victoria's 4-star. Yeah. After meeting up with Aspen at the Bell House, we took a bus to get here. It dropped us off at the same gate that Julia and I arrived at last time. Hand in hand, like always, we drift like bumblebees from flower patch to flower patch. Aspen stops to admire the plants, and I admire Aspen. Getting that email really seems to have cheered her up. There's a balance in every step we take together. Wait. Like a flower, when I saw Aspen for the first time all those months ago, I thought she was pretty, but the colorful petals at our feet can't actually compare to her. That rainy day in the library, she didn't even know I was there. I never could have imagined how our lives would intertwine from then on. But it's everything we've been through since then, all the things I've come to learn and know about her that make her beautiful. We have both talked about that day and everything after a lot. Still, I don't get tired of thinking on or hearing about it. Every day just makes me appreciate her more. Turning away from the flowers, Aspen sees me looking at her and tilts her head. Earning myself a kiss on the cheek, we resume our journey through the gardens. The winding road takes us past more flowers, through forests and across ponds. Everywhere you look, there's something new to see. For the most part, I let Aspen lead us content to see whatever she wants to see, even when that means standing around for a couple minutes while she reads the tiny words on the big signs. The sun begins to set, our walk getting gradually darker, but neither of us are in a rush to leave. When we round another corner, we reach a new area of the park that we haven't seen before. A small river runs along the path, and on one side is a large embankment. Trees with long, saggy branches run along the top, making a curtain along a lot of it. Some of the branches glisten with water, but some sparkle with something else. I point to one, getting Aspen's attention. She follows my line of sight, and then her eyes light up when she sees it. We both hurry over to where something small and blue hangs from one of the branches, glowing like a firefly. There are silky threads hanging from the trees, too. They look kind of like spiderwebs, but softer. What is a glowworm? She reaches a hand, cupping the bright orb without touching it. I look. Sure enough, there's a bug attached to the light. Well, maybe it's the other way around. We follow the embankment, peering among the trees and dirt for another glimpse of light. There are other people around inspecting the same area as we are. We spot a couple of isolated bugs, all alone like the first one we encountered, but for a while that seems to be it. However, as the night begins to set in and the sun disappears behind the hills, that starts to change. Before our eyes, lights gradually appear as more and more glowworms take their place, like candles being lit in the dark. The blue-green webbing almost seemed to hover in mid-air at parts since we can't see the trees themselves as easily. Finally, we come to a part of the ridge that brings us both to a halt. I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. Really nice art. A big willow tree droops down, making a web of its own out of branches that even reach past other nearby trees. Glowworms hang from them like holiday lights. There are more here than we saw on the way combined. When we first arrived at the garden, Aspen remarked on how gorgeous it was. Now, she's speechless. She takes a step forward and then another, drawn like a moth to a flame. I stay at her side, impressed by the glowworms, but unable to take my eyes off Aspen again. Her eyes wide and mouth agape, she's the most easy-to-read person I've ever met. The simple way she always wears her all on her face and her heart on her sleeve, even when she tries to hide her feelings. To me, that's another thing to love about her. I've already seen it happen a few times. Aspen, who always tries to have the perfect words, finds herself at a loss for them so often. Everything she feels so much. As scary as that may have seemed at one time, as we became friends, and then more than friends, it's something I've come to admire. She says that meeting me was destiny, or that maybe she just got lucky. I don't know a thing about destiny, but I know the second part is wrong. Or at least only half true. I'm the lucky one here. Oh! Sorry, that's... I've just... Let me just save this as well. Hold on. Just gonna do that. Still entranced, she turns her head to face me and I lean forward to kiss her. I'm used to not having the right words or any words at all, so I hope I can say everything I want to with a kiss. Her eyes flutter shut behind her glasses. She smells faintly of coffee and flour. Her lips taste like love. I hope she knows just how much she's made my life better just by existing, just by being her. We part, but just barely. Foreheads together. She smiles, the light in her eyes brighter than the ones around us. She kisses me again. Oh my god. Eventually we walk away, letting some of the other searchers enjoy that spot. We follow the winding path through the gardens some more, taking our time and stopping to admire anything that catches our eyes. There are plenty of those, not just the flowers and trees, but the lamp-lit pathways and streams too. At the end, we leave from the gate we entered through, taking a shuttle back into town. I walk with Aspen to her apartment before we part ways for the night. Holding my hand outside her door, she gives me one last kiss. Oh my god. Smiling, Aspen steps forward and hugs me, enveloping me in that coffee and flower scent. With a final wave, Aspen disappears into her apartment. I make my way back to the library, feeling lighter than air. I have only been home for a little bit when I decide to step out into the night again. My last encounter with Silver didn't go so well, but it hasn't made me any less determined to talk to her. It's not just because of my magic and what she might be able to tell me about it. I also want to help her. I know that I can't tell her that outright, but every passing day that I spend with Aspen or with Juliet makes me more confident in my decision and stay around Wellington. While I don't expect things to go exactly the same way for Silver as they did for me, I hope that maybe someday she'll want to change too. Making my way to Mount Victoria doesn't take very long. Just like last time, I change forms and search for Silver scent, locking on and following it through the forest. I eventually find her in her two-legged form, sitting on a log with her back to me. For some reason, I'm surprised. I just assumed she spent most of her time as a fox. I changed forms myself. Somehow, I don't think she's noticed me yet. I'm not sure if I should call out to get her attention or what. I don't think she'd like being surprised, but there probably isn't any chance she'd be excited to see me regardless. Taking a step, I have my decision made for me. The snap of a branch under my foot gives me away. Sure enough, Silver spins around, her eyes going from shock to annoyance when she sees me. She leaps to her feet in a fluid motion, while I hold up my empty hands to show I'm not a threat. I didn't bother to make a plan for how to convince her to talk to me, since she has a tendency to mess up any plans I try. She snorts in derision and transforms as she turns back away from me. In a flash, she's taken off. Miho has a gun! I change forms and run off after her. She's tricky, not just fast. She also darts back and forth, weaving around trees as she tries to get away. I don't let her, instead keeping her in my sight even though she manages to stay ahead. The forested area isn't very big, but she backtracks so much that it feels huge. If we were in our other forms, I'm sure she'd be shouting taunts at me or obscenities. Instead, it's gravely silent, other than the soft sound of our paws on the leaves and moss. Silver eventually gives up on trying to confuse me, instead puts on a burst of speed, pulling farther and farther away from me. Why is she so determined to run away? And why am I so determined to catch her? The first part isn't tough to answer, because running away is easy. I understand, because until recently, that was exactly what I would have done too. But the second part, that's harder to say. I push myself as well, trying to run faster like Silver. It's hard though. And my legs are already aching. I have to start relying on my ears and nose and not just eyes to track her. Suddenly, I see her again, not that far out of reach. When she spots me, I can see her try to dash again. Only this time, she doesn't seem to be able to pull it off either. That's when I notice her limp. It's subtle, enough that I can only tell when I'm closer up to her like this, but one of her back legs is definitely giving her trouble, and it's starting to slow her down. When it became clear I'm going to catch her, she abruptly halts, transforming back in a flash. I scramble to bring myself to a stop and then change too, almost collapsing backwards onto the ground. My lungs feel like they're on fire, but I stay on my feet. Silver doesn't move, her back still to me, even as I see her chest heave while she catches her breath. She clenches a fist, illuminated by the light from her bead. I ignore her. I couldn't give her an answer she'd accept anyway. Silence. Not that I was expecting an answer myself. But then slowly her fingers uncurl. For the first time, there's a less of a sharp edge to her words. For once, it sounds like a genuine question. I don't know if she's talking about me or not. Finally, she looks up and glares at me, staring right into my eyes. I'm not sure how I want to come across to her. Friendly, trustworthy, brave? Whatever we do have in common, she's also a total mystery. Even at my most alone, I was never as wild as she is. Holding her arm, Silver turns her back on me and looks up at the stars. Spinning back around, her eyes shine in the moonlight. She's wrong. I can see myself reflected in her harsh gaze. I could have been her so easily. Something about her finally clicks. Something in her words makes sense. The way she tells me so much, even as she tells me to leave. The way she keeps asking for my thoughts. She desperately wants me to respond. Her eyes widen, then instantly narrow. I pause, waiting for her to interrupt me, but she doesn't. That's a good sign, right? Silver scoffs but doesn't interject. I search her face, trying to get a glimpse of what she might be thinking or feeling, but her expression is as stony as ever. I could keep going, but I'm not sure if it would be a good idea or not. I'm probably already wearing on her patience. Okay. This is important. So we're gonna save. Let's leave it there. I want to tell Silver that maybe someday she could feel that way too, but I hold myself back. I've said enough for tonight. Silver also stays quiet for a moment. She's probably trying to think of another way to call me a dog. Even then, her words don't have the usual venom. Seems like I gave her something to think about, if nothing else. From the way she fidgets, I can tell we're getting near the point where Silver is going to decide she's had enough and run away. Before she can do that, there's something I have to know. She sneers, looking glad to have a reason to be disdainful again. Her response is immediate. I'd been expecting as do as you wish, or I don't care what a dog thinks of me, but I didn't expect her to have an opinion on my choice. Even Silver looks a bit surprised of herself, like she answered without thinking. She quickly forces back a stoic expression. Dog. Nose in the air, she turns away from me and transforms, bounding off into the shadows, like always. This time, I don't try to follow her. She always has to make a show of how little she cares. It took me until tonight to understand that means she cares a lot. For as detached and disinterested as she tries to appear, there are still weaknesses in her armor. Once again, I didn't really learn much about myself or my magic from this visit with Silver, but still, I don't think it was a waste of time. At breakfast the next morning, I'm still thinking about Silver and her story, and about how much it has in common with mine. I only half listen as Julia and Aspen talk about a book they've both been reading. Instead, it's nice to just watch them enjoy being around each other. It's so easy to miss that when you're not looking for it. Of course, you can still miss out on other things. It takes me a moment to realize that Aspen is trying to get my attention. Shaking my head, I bring my attention back. Oh. Oh man, that'd be embarrassing if Aspen noticed a change before I did. I tuck my necklace away from me so I can see it. Sure enough, the glow is stronger than before. Still not as strong as Silver's, though. Oh, my... I realized I was blocking it. We're all quiet for a moment as we all come to what I'm sure is the same conclusion. Oh. What'd you call me? Both of them look at me. Chunho, I know the word, but not how I know it. As if Juliet's explanation unlocked a forgotten memory of my own. Chunho. I don't know what it means, but I know it's the next step in my existence more than a gumiho. Removing my necklace, I inspect the bead yet again. The glow must be related to what Juliet was saying. That it's getting closer to being ready. I don't know if the rest of me is, though. I think Miho's bead operates off of like love and care from others, maybe. And then for Silver's, it's her hatred or like her shame or something negative, and that's why it's so shiny. I was about to mention Silver, but managed to catch myself. I want to tell Aspen and Juliet about her, but not yet. Not until I know her better and myself. Not until I can convince her to meet them. And it could take even longer for Silver to change them for my bead. Although, now that I think about it, what does the brightness of hers mean? That her bead has stored even more magic than mine? Something about that doesn't feel right. It can't just be about an amount, there has to be something more. I wonder if even she knows what it is. There's one more big question, too. One more big what if. I lock the necklace back around my neck. The more I learn about my powers, the more conflicted I feel. I know Aspen and Juliet mean well, but it's just not something they can understand. Even though Juliet has magic of her own, it's entirely different from mine. The conversation changes to recent events at the library and Bell House, and none of us mention anything else about magic or Gumiho for the rest of the evening. Whatever it is going to happen with my bead, I have to figure it out for myself. Alrighty. Even though I'm preoccupied with thinking about magic, the morning goes by without any trouble. The library itself, the library isn't very busy, so I finish my tasks quickly and then work on reading and writing. When I hear the door open, I don't look up, just call out a greeting because I'm halfway through a worksheet. But then something floats into the edge of my vision to get my attention. Kirby? A familiar fable twist in recognition. Of course, Tommy's with him on the other side of the desk, but I don't see Gwen or Elijah. I don't know if you want that. Tommy flaps his arms, imagining what it would be like to have wings. He frowns. Knowing Gwen, when she realizes Tommy's missing, she'll go in a panic looking for him. I doubt I could just make him go home, though. Guess that means I have to keep an eye on him. You should also call out the mom. Oh, Lord. Kirby flaps his petals just like Tommy flaps his arms. I put away my things and then follow Tommy out the door. Before I go, I send a quick message to Gwen to tell her that Tommy's with me. Okay. Eventually, we reach Mount Victoria. It takes a lot longer walking with Tommy than it would take me on my own. I let him lead me around the area while he checks all the flowers and plants that he can. We see all sorts of other bugs, but not the one we're looking for. I keep half an eye out for the butterfly, but also watch to make sure Tommy doesn't touch something poisonous or bitey by accident. While we're wandering around, I notice that the area we're in is kind of familiar. That gives me an idea. Not a bug. Ugh. It's just a short walk to my den. The condition isn't great, and I have to tidy it up a bit, just so it's recognizable. Go for Tommy and Gerby and suck my handiwork. Oh my god. Tommy pokes around the entrance for a little bit, clearing away some of the leaves and other stuff that's blocking it. Gerby! Oh, Tommy. We start walking again, but I don't let us get too far from the main path. Tommy and Gerby are still looking around for the butterfly, but I can tell Tommy's heart isn't in it quite as much. I don't have any experience with any of the issues Tommy's dealing with, or the rest of his family, but I feel like I should at least say something. Oh. My parents were just foxes, and I barely remember them or even think about them that much. I guess. I'm not sure if anything I'm saying is helpful. I don't even know how to help Tommy, but I am being honest, at least what he has for a family still seems pretty good, even if it's not perfect. In the end, we don't end up finding the magical butterfly. While we're still out looking around, my phone rings. Of course it's Gwen. I tell her where we are, and she promises to be here soon. When she finally meets up with us, she doesn't even scold Tommy for running off, just gives him a hug and thanks me. As they go off back to her house, I reflect on what I said. Being a human is tougher than I used to think it was. What Tommy and his family are going through isn't something I can relate to. But I get the feeling that Tommy's trying in his own way, just like Gwen and Elijah are. Whatever it takes, I hope they're able to figure things out together. I'm not surprised when Aspen doesn't show up for breakfast. Before I fell asleep, she mentioned that she was feeling nervous about her meeting and expected to be up for a while and that she'd probably sleep in. I offered to stay up with her, but she declined, saying she'd rather use the time to prepare. Her spot at the table is conspicuously empty as Julia and I eat together, but I'm sure she'll show up eventually. I keep an eye on my phone for any message from her, even as Julia and I clean up and start our days, but I don't hear anything from Aspen. The library gradually gets livelier, and I have my hands full restocking shelves and filling out papers. Finally, some familiar faces arrive, although Aspen isn't one of them. Oh god. I can hear the three kids before I can see them, their voice only getting louder when Armin pushes the front door open and holds it for the other two. Cello enters first, followed by Pippa, who has arms wrapped around tightly around a box. They've come in every day since we visited the Bell House, so Pippa and Armin will still remember me. I didn't explain my magic to them, they just chose to work up here. Oh, mood. Cello can't help but yawn as she greets me. Well, it's true. Even Cello seems too tired to put up with her friends bickering today. They both huff but stop arguing. All three of them go to find a table where they can set up, and I pull out my phone to give Aspen a call. It rings for a long time, and I'm about to hang up when I finally hear the line click. Her voice is so groggy that she was clearly still asleep. Is she late for her meeting? She missed her meeting. There's a rustling sound, and then I hear her groan. When's her meeting? Oh. Okay, so it's thankfully it's an evening meeting. Mood. I hang up and then go let the students know what's going on. They wander around the library to entertain themselves while we wait. Finally, the library door opens and Aspen enters, still looking half asleep. She manages to stumble in my direction and I greet her with a big hug. From their chosen spot, the three kids wave at Aspen. Yeah, a little. Oh, a tiny bit. She grumbles quietly enough that only I can hear her, but she puts on a smile as we go over to the table. Despite her exhaustion, Aspen manages to use her customer service voice and seems genuinely excited for them. I guess. Pippa nods, Armin reaches for it, but Pippa pulls the box out of his way. He carefully unfolds the flaps and reaches in, lifting out their project. Both Aspen and I gasp as we see it. It's a tiny version of the Bell House, about the size of a shoebox. The walls look like they're made out of cardboard or some other material, and the tables and chairs inside are made of clay. Even the stretch of road outside the cafe is included, with the benches and flags and everything else. The smell of fresh paint emanates from the display, along with glue and other craft supplies. Although Pippa sounds gruff as always, I can see her blush before she tries to hide her face. Aspen kneels down to get a better look, inspecting all the little details. That's true. Tilla and Armin beam at the praise, and even Pippa manages a small smile. Should kids be drinking that much coffee? Yeah, that would never happen though. Haha. Cello hastily answers, shooting Pippa a look before she can try to challenge it. Oh, that's cute. Oh, you two. We both stare at each other for a second before slipping into laughter. It manages to push some of the tiredness out of Aspen's eyes. We chat with the kids for a while longer, swapping stories about Wellington and Morena, until finally it's time for them to pack up and get going. Aspen helps Pippa carefully return the project to its box and close it up. Then all five of us head outside. It's bittersweet to think that after this time tomorrow, those two will have forgotten about me. I'm glad they'll remember Aspen, though, and the Bell House, of course. Hmm. Her two friends nod. Armin stoops down to pick up the box. I notice Pippa tense up, but she doesn't stop him. In a final wave, we see them off until they've gone down the path and disappeared from sight. Once they're gone, Aspen slouches, sighing and yawning. Oh. Aspen holds out her hand and I take it. Together we step back into the library and wait for the appointed hours to arrive.